Which NBA star will be the next to demand a trade? Will it be Joel Embiid? And Anthony Edwards is changing his numbers. So we're going to change a few other numbers for a few of these NBAers. It's all right now on the Locked On NBA podcast.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On NBA podcast. We're here for you every day, Monday through Friday. Your team every day on the network. We're still going 5 days a week on the Locked On NBA
strong here.
podcast. We are just flying through this offseason. What do you mean there's nothing to talk about in the NBA? We're finding something to talk about in the NBA. And on Wednesdays, the people finding that stuff, it's us. It's John Karalis, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast. You find me on Twitter at John_Karalis.
And I'm Jake Madison, host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast, on Twitter at NOLA Jake.
We are very happy to be here. We're very happy to have you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Watch the show on YouTube. Hop into the comment section. Let us know what you think about everything that we're talking about. But we will be here without demanding any trades. We are staying with the Locked On Podcast Network because we're very happy here.
They offered us the chance to trade days one time, and you and I were like, no.
Yeah. They actually did. They actually, a little inside baseball, they said, hey, let's jumble things up if you want to mix things up. And we're like, nope. If you take me away, if you break up this duo, we're done. So we're still rolling. We've been here from the beginning of the Locked On NBA podcast. This duo has been
you and I are like original hosts of the network pretty much too. Like we are as like OG as it gets.
Yep, absolutely. But we're not asking out. But other players are. Players are demanding trades. Yesterday, they talked about Damian Lillard. It's a constant thing that's going to probably last at least into training camp, I would think, at this point. And between that, Jake, Joel Embiid making his kind of, was he trolling? Was he not trolling when he said, I want to win a championship wherever that is? There are certainly candidates to demand trades. There's always somebody who's like, that's it. I've had enough. You want to play real or fake right away? Let's just do it right away. Real or fake? Joel Embiid is the next star that is going to ask out.
So it depends on how you want to view this. Like, are you, star is a relative term, superstar is a bit of a relative term too. And if we're being honest here, if the question is Joel Embiid the next star to ask out, it's fake, because that's going to be Kyrie Irving in like a couple of months, right? Like it's going to be someone like that.
Okay,
so fake because of that, but that's maybe like a technicality here. And maybe we just need to have like Kyrie
no Kyrie rule. Like
something like that.
Joel Embiid will be the next non-Kyrie star to want out.
If you want to say like superstar, which like Kyrie doesn't fall quite into that category probably anymore. Like, okay, like, yeah, I buy this. Like, I buy that it would be Joel Embiid, and like in that angle from it, if we're getting rid of the semantics here, like, yeah, I could see this. It might come down to whether James Harden gets traded or not. And if they trade him and that team looks like garbage leading up to the trade deadline, maybe he's just like, y'all know, like, I'm good. I want to go away. And teams would be lining up for him in a way that they don't line up for Kyrie Irving or, other players like Damian Lillard, let's say. So I think Philly might be open to then just being like, all right, we're going to deal him too and get a heck of a return for him. So yeah, I'll go real here with those like other parameters here that we put out in the beginning.
I'm going to say real as well, because he seems to be in the next kind of like team that might blow up kind of scenario. The James Harden thing puts him in a position where I don't think he was kidding. I don't think he was trolling. I think when he said, I want to win a championship, and if it's here, it's here. If it's somewhere else, then it's somewhere else. But that is, I think that's a message to the team. I think it's a message to the Sixers. I think it's probably real. And there are some other candidates that could be ahead of him. But if James Harden doesn't come back, and it doesn't look like he will, and Joel has to go through a season of carrying this team without any real help. I have a hard time believing that he is going to be okay with that. And it might happen even pretty quickly. I wonder if Harden goes and they don't get a good return for him. I wonder if it even happens. Right. But then at that point, if Joel looks around and says, well, I know I can't do this all by myself because I need somebody to get me the ball because I'm a big. It's not like he's Luka. It's not like he's got the ball in his hands all the time. When you're a big, you need to be fed the ball, and there's only so much you can do. So if he has no real help around him, then he knows, and he's been hurt, and he understands his own body. I feel like he might even this season say, okay, that's it. I can't take this anymore. We've gone through what we've gone through. I'm done.
There's a lot of irony in all of this, I think, because one of the reasons why we think he might want out is it looks like a mess, and they haven't had the playoff success that they've wanted before. And part of that lack of playoff success is because of him not having good games necessarily and kind of folding a little bit in the postseason. You make the good point of he's a big, they need him to get the ball, but there have been times when he should have been more dominant than he has been too. And it's like this snake that eats its own tail kind of thing, that like self-fulfilling prophecy all of a sudden where he's like, he wants out because they're not having playoff success, and they're not having playoff success because of Joel Embiid and other reasons. And again, it's not always on one player. I just find that a little bit interesting, right? Like the knock on that is like, oh yeah, they haven't won. They haven't put a team around him. I mean, you need to be better at times, Joel Embiid, than you've been, but He's also such a talented player, still young too. Like he's going to, You should feel, if you've got to trade him, you feel good about that because of the return that you're going to get. So it also then kind of adds to that. They're probably like, all right, you want out? Like, cool, no problem. We'll live with this.
He's 29 years old. At his size, he's not playing till he's 40, right?
No. I don't think, but he's got 6-7 more years minimum, I think.
Okay, that's fine. So let's say he plays till he's 35.
Okay.
The tail end of 33, 34, 35, somewhere in that range is going to be diminished. Like, I'm sorry, like big guys like that, I don't think are going to last forever in this league. It's not like the 80s and 90s where a guy like Robert Parrish can play till he's in his early 40s because you still need a back to the basket guy and so on and so forth. So regardless, my point is 5, 6, 7 years left, whatever he has left, you can chop off 2 of them at the end as being less than productive. So let's say he's got 5 seasons left, 5 good seasons. If the Sixers aren't putting good help around him this year, this is 1 year right here, 4 more after the season. You know what I'm saying? If I it's also someone he's going to look at this and say, I don't have a ton of time left. Like I know he's still young, but I think he understands. I think everybody understands that's going to go by quickly. You're not staying loyal to the Sixers is not going to get you very far, especially if Harden goes and the return is crap.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's why this hinges on Harden, right? So say if they keep Harden, how's that change the outlook on this?
If they keep him, then at least Embiid can say, I've got some help. I can.
Yeah, he's not going to ask out till Harden's gone or till Harden's game completely declines, maybe, or something along those lines. So buys time before this maybe inevitably happens.
His best chance to win then remains in Philly, because you can say at least they had a good run. They did have a good run. They did have the Celtics on the ropes. They should have beaten the Celtics.
Yes,
they should have.
No, it's just interesting to think how so much maybe like hinges on James Harden and how terrifying of a prospect that is.
That's the scary part. That's the scary part, because that's gonna go south. It's gonna cost them Joel Embiid. Who might ask out next? Some obvious names, maybe some surprise names. We'll talk about that in just a second. First, let's talk about Ibotta. Ibotta is going to get you money back on the things you're already buying. Burgers and hot dogs for the summer barbecue. You're already doing it. Get cash back with Ibotta. So Ibotta basically gives you real money on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you are beating inflation no matter what you are buying. Either link your loyalty account or upload your receipt. After you shop, you get your cash back. It's that easy, and it's cash. It's not those points. It's not those meaningless, like, oh, I got 20,000 points. What's that mean? Oh, 20 cents? Thanks. You get real cash back with Ibotta. It goes right to your bank account, goes right to PayPal, goes right to gift cards. And you can earn cash back on other things, online brands, hundreds of online brands, retailers like Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy. So go ahead and download that Ibotta app. Right now, Ibotta is offering you $5 just for trying it using the code LOCKED when you register. Just go to the App Store, go to Google Play, download the free Ibotta app, use the code LOCKED. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store. Use that code LOCKED to get your $5. I want to thank you all for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. We got team podcasts across the board. Every team in the NBA is covered. So make sure you're checking us out. The team podcast down to 3 days a week, but we're still here 5 days a week. And we're talking about guys who might demand a trade next. Who's the next person to force their way out? We talked about Joel Embiid. Jake, who you think might be next?
There's a long list of this, right? Like, there's a long list, especially when you factor in Kyrie Irving and let's say he gets upset and asks out. What does that do? Look, the big name is Luka Doncic. That's going to be the biggest one we're going to talk about here. And I have some other ones
the one to watch.
Like, it just depends. Like, they've been underperforming. They kind of went for broke with Kyrie Irving. I liked what they did this offseason, I'll be honest, but they feels like they still need a little bit of help here. And if they have another disappointing year, at what point does Luka go like, I'm too good for this? Like, I don't need to deal with this anymore, and start to question if the future's there. You know, if Kyrie starts acting like Kyrie, and now that he's got a long-term deal and he's not necessarily looking to get paid again, how does that factor into it too? That, you know, we've seen this in the past couple of stops. That's a combustible situation, you know. So obviously I think everyone's going to be looking at Luka Doncic.
Luka's a good name. I think putting all your eggs in that Kyrie basket is what puts Luka in that position.
You don't
right?
have any experience with that or anything,
right? Right. So that is either going to somehow go great or the whole thing implodes. And so far, everything has imploded behind Kyrie Irving. So hard for me to believe that Dallas would survive this. The only thing is, maybe Dallas can find a way to appease Luka. Luka is still young, and it's still early for him. Maybe he's not at the I demand a trade point yet. I think Dallas might be at the we're starting to piss him off, but I think they might say, they might be able to kind of like placate him for a little bit, and he can maybe the Mavericks can get some help there.
They do a good job of trying hard and mixing it up when things aren't working, and not just kind of sticking with the same course of action that isn't getting it done. So you've got to give them some credit for that, but it's also results oriented. And at a certain point, you just got to, not miss the play-in tournament.
Who's next? You have Trae Young on the list.
Yeah, Trae Young, so that we can laugh that if he requests a trade and like no one's not that interested in him. I set that up here.
He is so funny. I'm gonna make fun of Trae Young in the next segment too. So okay. I'm all.
Let's leave him for a minute here. Then
I'm all on board with that.
I got two for you that are on the same team.
Ooh, okay.
Can you guess?
Two on the same team. Oh, that's a good one. Are they on Cleveland?
No, I was going to actually go with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to say no.
You don't think one of them just gets a little weird? Like, Kawhi's weird, man. Not weird. Kawhi's Kawhi, right? And then Paul George, is he ever happy?
I think those guys are home. I think they're just going to stick with it. They're going to make their money. They're going to play for the Clippers. I don't see those guys kind of wanting out. I think those guys are just kind of happy being where they are.
Not playing a lot of games.
The Clippers Clippers give them all the time off that they want. Ballmer is the right owner. He's just going to spend. They're building a new arena. They're going to have an awesome locker room. They have all, awesome practice facility. They're just going to live life, and I think they're going to play it out there in LA. In fact, I wouldn't have even those names wouldn't have crossed my mind. Donovan Mitchell crossed my mind. Now, I'm kind of playing off of Tim Bontemps in saying that he doesn't expect Donovan Mitchell to sign an extension. He doesn't expect Donovan to sign anything long term, and he suggested, and he also said, I know this is not going to happen, but he suggested Cleveland trade Mitchell now. Now, I don't know if Mitchell would demand a trade, but wouldn't not signing long term almost amount to saying, I'm not coming back, so you might as well trade me? It's not the same, but if it gets to a point where push comes to shove and he's constantly being asked about it, would he say, you know what? Yes, actually, trade me?
So I view it a little bit differently than you, I think. Yes, I agree with you, right? Like, we've always heard he wants to go to New York, right? Like, that's been the long rumored destination, and there's been so much smoke behind all of those rumors. I think it would be he signs a long-term deal, waits as long as he needs to, and then requests a trade, because leaving in free agency is not a thing that really happens anymore in the NBA. So it's just a different mechanism of him getting to the team that he wants that also involves a trade demand. But yes, fundamentally, at the base point of it being Donovan Mitchell, I agree.
Yes. Okay. Because I don't think that he's staying in Cleveland, and I think that's part of the calculus there. Any other big names that you think, or you want to go outside the box?
I mean, I'm trying to think of who would be all right, enough with this team, I want out, right? No one in Phoenix is going to be doing that. Houston, I'm kind of looking at teams Houston doesn't really have anyone. I'm not going to factor in Fred VanVleet on something like this, right? No one on Sacramento is going to try and force their way out. What about a team like Memphis and one of their guys? And I was see
looking
it
at
being
Memphis. I don't see anybody on Memphis. No. Would
Desmond Bane just get fed up? To me, he's an almost all-star, all-NBA guy at times. And if he gets tired of Ja Morant and whatever might happen with that, I don't think he's good enough to quite pull that.
I don't think he's and I think that's a good situation, because everyone else on that team is drive. And he's he's the guy that can benefit from all of that. So he's in a good spot in Memphis. Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, so I wanted to say that, and the second that happens, we're just gonna laugh. It's gonna be similar to Trae Young, right? We're gonna be okay, dude, yeah, everyone else there is the problem other than you, and it's partially true because they have Rudy Gobert, but it's just it makes me laugh when he was I'm the best shooting big man of all time, right? And and he's gonna request a trade, and I can't take it seriously. So sure, I don't put him in that superstar category because of comments like that. I don't know. It's my perception of him skews this to have me be he doesn't count.
Charlotte, LaMelo Ball.
No, he's good. He's not good enough to try and pull something like that yet, right?
No. I agree. Just thinking that Charlotte with the sale of the team, maybe that's a good thing.
On his rookie deal.
He just signed an extension. So.
So they got time with him. There's no rush to have you're not going to trade. One of these guys has no leverage until it's closer to the end of that second contract that they're on at the earliest. First year of your extension kicking in, you got nothing there, man.
Giannis, Milwaukee Bucks. They're old. They're running it back, but guys are going to start falling off. Chris Middleton could start getting hurt. Brook Lopez could start getting hurt. They're really squeezing the last bits. They're going to be really good this year, but
there's a limited length of that runway. So my take on that one, because I want to agree with you, but I'm going to disagree with you. Winning the title helps, right? Like that takes all of the pressure off. It's, when these guys don't want to be the villain, he can't be like, well, this team isn't good enough anymore. You just want a title. Like, be quiet. Like everyone's trying to do that sort of thing. And so because of that, like, I think the like backlash towards him might be kind of large, and he seems to like really care about that fan base and not want to like almost hurt him like that. I wouldn't be shocked if Milwaukee realizes their run is over. They're a small market. They need to retool and do all of that. So they proactively trade him before he requests out.
Okay. Anyone else? I don't see anybody else.
No.
We could go into, I don't think anybody else is like really on the verge. I think we've touched on, I think Luka is the next guy. It's Joel Embiid, then Luka potentially. And I think that's about it. And then, 2-3 years from now, could be another run on guys asking out. But for now, I'm comfortable with this. I want to have some fun.
Yes, I'm so excited for this segment. We got all the jokes. We're about to turn into stand-up comedians here.
Oh, God. So much pressure.
Let me put the pressure on.
Anthony Edwards is changing his number. So we're going to start changing some numbers for some guys. We'll do that in just a second. I want to thank all of y'all for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Make sure you're here Monday through Friday. We're still Monday through Friday on this podcast, all off season long. So stick around, get on that YouTube page, and have some fun in the comment section with this topic. Anthony Edwards has announced to the world via Shams Charania, I'm giving up my number 1. I'm going to number 5. So everybody who's got a number 1 Anthony Edwards jersey, maybe it's collector's item, or maybe we're going to see a bunch of people turning that 1 into a 5 with some duct tape creatively at Wolves games. That's something I would do. But considering he's changing his number, LeBron's changing his number next year, guys are changing their numbers, I thought, hey, man, let's get some guys some more appropriate numbers so there's some meaning behind the numbers that they're wearing. You want to go first, or should I go first? We're going to assign guys their numbers.
Do you just want to get Damian Lillard out of the way?
You can do Dame. I didn't have Dame on my list.
Oh, you texted me a good one for Dame too. Okay, Damian Lillard, when he goes to the Miami Heat, needs to go to number 99 and go from 0 to 99. Like, if you want to take a shot at like Portland and kind of that, be like, I was a 0 there. And then you go to the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yep.
Also, he'd probably be the only player in NBA history to wear both 0 and 99. And I kind of like that. That's kind of cool. Like, I just like that idea in general. I think that one's kind of cool.
The number I texted you after you were talking about the heel turn, I said, well, give him the 666, give him the sign of Satan. And that's just, let's do it.
I'm an Iron Maiden fan here, so I dig it.
He's going full heel turn. I mean, what an unlikely heel. He's such a nice guy. This is like a forced heel turn. Like, no one.
Then the NBA shut that concept down. No, he's going to play for whoever he gets traded to. Don't worry.
Yeah, right.
He's like, now I can't be a bad guy.
I said I was going to make fun of Trae Young, so I'm going to make fun of Trae Young. I'm giving him the number 32. Why 32?
Sorry. Why 32, John?
Because that's going to be his career 3-point percentage. He's not a good shooter. People, get that through your heads. He's not a good shooter. He's a 33% 3-point shooter. Let's get that on his jersey.
Okay, that was actually good. That was a pretty good one. All right, I have one for Zion Williamson.
Okay. Zion, yeah, it's your guy.
It changes every year, and it needs to be the number of games he played the year before. So this past
LED
year,
jersey that's just programmable.
Sure. Like, so this year he would have been number 0 because he played 0 games the year before. Going into next season, he'll be 29 because it's only like 29 games. It's like the scarlet letter, like a mark of shame, right? And it's like, oh, if he wears a jersey that's in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, it's like embarrassing. Maybe it motivates him to stay healthy, right? When you hit that jersey, you get 82 on there because you don't want people to always see it and be reminded of it.
Oh, I like that. I like just a programmable jersey for a guy and a number that shames him into playing more games. That's
we fix the NBA at times here, man. We've come up with some good ideas that we email over to Adam Silver. He cuts us a check for when these get like put into the NBA. Maybe that's the next one.
I love it. I love it. Okay, my next guy is Jalen Brunson, and I'm giving him the number 56. Why 56?
Why 56? I'm bad at the cues here. Why 56, John?
Because that's the amount of money he would have signed with, $56 million for Dallas to have kept him and not be in this stupid mess they are in. So I would be trolling with my Jalen Brunson number 56 jersey just to remind the Mavs, you could have had this dude for $56 million and saved all this money and not be in the Kyrie business. So that's just trolling Mark Cuban. That's trolling the Mavs. Number 56 Jalen Brunson jersey.
When Kyrie asks out of Dallas, can he change his number to 56 to also troll them?
I think Kyrie's number should just be not even like a number. It should be like the Prince symbol or some weird symbol, but also his jersey should be made of something smokable.
Oh, yeah. Like, exactly. Totally. That would it just fits perfectly. Like sage it before, like he's done the locker rooms. And things.
Yeah.
So I was thinking big picture here. You know, they've retired the number 6, so no one can wear that again. We've long talked about that for maybe Michael Jordan. And so basically, let's just do that right now. Anyone who wears 23 needs to immediately change it to 22 because you're not as good as Michael Jordan and you shouldn't be foolish enough to try and wear that number anyway. There's only 16 players that wore 23 this past season.
16 players.
Let me pull this back up. Like, I'm sure like not all of them were wearing this to be like, I want to be like Mike here. But you look at some of the names on here and it's like,
you can't help if you're wearing number 23, you can't help but be like, yeah, it's Michael Jordan's number.
Right. Like Zach Collins on the Spurs, like, dude, you don't need to be wearing 23. Yeah. Right. Like Draymond Green's 23. Like, you're a good player. You're going to be a Hall of Famer. You're not him. Sure. Okay, I'm on board with that. So everyone just goes to 22.
22, sure. And unless you just keep going down to the next number.
Yeah, the next lowest number. Because there were 16 players wore 22. I think it was 18 wore 22 this season. 16 wore 23.
My last one, and clearly all of mine are just trolling numbers. They're all trolling numbers. I mentioned Donovan Mitchell. I'm giving Donovan Mitchell the number 5.
Why the number 5, John?
Because that's how many consecutive first-round picks the Utah Jazz control because of the Donovan Mitchell trade. Every other year, they own unprotected picks by the Cavs and 2 pick swaps starting in, I believe, 2025. So 5 consecutive years of first-round picks, just letting the Cavs know this is the cost to have rented me.
It's just mean. That's like if you wear like a designer like shirt or jacket and you like clearly show the label to like show off how expensive it was, and it's just the number is exactly like, here's my value. Right? This is my $7,000 suit that I'm wearing here, you know, like just to like clearly see to like show off. That's or something
exactly
like
what
that.
It is. That's exactly it is. A little reminder to the folks upstairs in Cleveland. Does
Rudy Gobert go to number 7 or whatever it is then?
Oh my God.
It's so much worse. It's so much worse.
They should do that. You know how they put the championship on the back of the little tag at the back? Yeah. They should have like a second one, like how many first round picks you've been traded for.
Oh, that's actually great. Like, I love that idea. Oh, that's
just to remind everybody.
You remember when like Top Shot was a thing and like players were like, my moment's going for more money than your moment on NBA, like Top Shot.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so it's like similar to that. I was traded for more first
round
round
picks
than
I
you.
believe it still exists.
So. Yeah, it still exists.
It's just no one's talking about it anymore.
No, we're talking about other important
NFTs
things.
are
like, and We're talking about just changing numbers that will never happen in these hypothetical situations. So, all right, last one I got is when Tyler Hero gets booted to a third team because no one wants him in the Damian Lillard trade. Like he has to, the team may as well just assign him the number 0 to go from hero to 0. It's normally the other way around, but he it just, be like, yeah, you weren't good enough. Portland didn't want you. 0,
which is exactly the amount of games he played in the championship run of wins, I believe. No, he got hurt in the first game. But I like that because it does signify to him that you were worth absolutely 0 to the Heat on their way to a finals run. If he had played, I think they would have lost in the second round at the very least.
I was just trying to pull him up on Basketball-Reference, and I clicked on Portland to be like, where's his name on here? As if that trade's actually already happened yet, which
I almost did a spit take there.
It's going to happen.
I like it. All right. Any other numbers you all think about? Go ahead. Pop them in the comment section. Have fun with it. Be mean with it. It doesn't matter. We're just having some fun here in the dog days of the NBA. So with that, I think we're done here, Jake.
Me too. Let's get out of here before we say something that gets us in trouble.
Something worse than that's already been said. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody for watching. We're here for you 5 days a week. And on Wednesdays, it's our job to have some fun with you. I'm John Karalis, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast. Find me on Twitter at John_Karalis.
And I'm Jake Madison, host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast on Twitter at NolaJake.
Tomorrow, it's Jake, it's Pat, the designer, and they've got you covered here on the Thursday Locked On
the show again.
NBA podcast. What's that?
I'm on the show again tomorrow.
Jake?
You did.
Okay, it's Nick. It's Nick. It's Nick Angstead, and it's Pat, the designer. Oh, you can hop in. Sure.
Yeah, I'll just make an appearance.
Whatever. We're done here. Hey, everybody, go ahead and share the podcast if you're a regular listener. Let everyone know that they should be watching, they should be listening to the Locked On NBA podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.